Welcome to the stream, everyone, or to the YouTube channel if that's where you're watching this later on. It's been rumored for some time that Sony would be remastering additional titles in their catalog. And if this is news to you, please note, if you're not already aware, that I'm not talking about stuff from the PS1, PS2, or even the PS3 eras of gaming. No, I'm talking about not even the long-standing rumor about Bloodborne being remastered or remade, which I would definitely want a great deal. But no. The rumored games instead were actually Horizon Zero Dawn and The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. And, well, I mean, these were rumors, and rumors are rumors until something happens, or it stays a rumor, or it dies, because nothing does. But Sony have now confirmed that The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is actually going to be dropping this January, and I'm supposed to be very perplexed by this, I suppose, but I'm not. I mean, on one hand, yes, The Last of Us Part 2 is only 3 years old, and it's arguably, at this point, the nicest looking game on the PS4, PS4 Pro, and the PS5. And to be clear, I think the game did have a PS5 performance patch, but it was never officially ported to be native to the PS5. This new release will be a native PS5 title. Still though, considering how immaculate and detailed that game looked, if there's a game that never really needed a facelift, it's this one. Now, I'm not saying that it's not worth putting out. I'm far from that kind of a mindset. Because here, I guess what Sony are pitching to consumers is basically The Last of Us Part 2, the definitive edition. And I suppose that probably would have been a better marketing angle for people like me who are just like, remastered after 3 years, really? Anyway, Naughty Dog with this release are not just, up-resing some shit and spitting it out. Like, they've put a lot of care and effort into this, and they did the same thing with The Last of Us Part 1, which is now also a PS5 native title. So yeah, Naughty Dog are including a brand new game mode called No Return. And also throughout the game's campaign, there were little moments as the characters where you could sit down and pick up a guitar and play it. Well, now they're including a guitar free play mode, and it seems like they went pretty deep with this feature, I guess, allowing you to use a host of characters playing unlockable instruments and even using audio effects pedals in the game to modulate the guitar's sound, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of behind the scenes making of content, including like developer and cast commentary. Graphically, of course, it's going to push higher resolutions and frame rates and feature increased level of detail distances, improve shadow quality and animation sampling rates, better integration with the DualSense's haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, and apparently more. This is a must-own for anyone that's never played the game. But, keep in mind that because it's a PS5 exclusive release, true to the next-gen pricing that Sony has been going along with this entire generation, this release will cost $70 at retail. Now, the good news, however, is that if you already own the original game, the PS4 release, the upgrade is only going to be $10 to you. And of course, if you still find the upgrade pretty needless at even that price point, then no one's going to take the game away from you. They're not taking the old release and putting it anywhere, and no one's forcing you to upgrade. Of course, some people are acting like this announcement is the end of the world for some reason. And thus, here we are again, another cyclical conversation in the gaming realm coming back around again. When it comes to remasters, a lot of the time when these big releases come along, people tend to become outraged and they shout things along the lines of, "It's a cash grab. That's what it is. We shouldn't stand for this." And my response to that is, yeah. And I mean, I get it. People love video games as an art form so much. They want to believe that the creation of the latest and greatest is done with a hefty dose of altruism. But I hate to break it to people. The video game industry, first and foremost, is a business. Games are created so they can be sold and so they can make money. That's the beginning and end of it, period. I mean, sure, there's undoubtedly, developers who are in the game doing it for the art, but that's not what makes this industry move whatsoever. So, if a company like Naughty Dog, in conjunction with Sony, want to enhance a game and then sell it as a new SKU, that makes sense for them to do. It's going to sell and make them money. So why wouldn't they do that? That's what good business dictates, at least anyway, and it's not like there's like nothing in it for people, and you don't have to upgrade it again. What makes sense about this is, especially right now, there are undoubtedly more Last of Us fans now than there was a year and a half ago, thanks to the HBO series being a smash success. And a second season is supposed to be going into production in 2024. So putting a release out like this out there on the new console at full price for consumers to help bridge the gap, and then to charge $10 for an upgrade with some new features for everyone else, that would really kind of scoff at the $70 price point for, a new PS5 native iteration. I mean, it's a no-brainer. The question isn't why would they, but rather why wouldn't they? I know it's hard to imagine, but there are plenty of people out there that have never touched The Last of Us before. And now for the HBO fans that want to play the OG experiences, now's the best time for them. They'll have 2 PS5 native iterations of this game that look immaculate to run through. Gamers often view such releases, though, unfortunately, through a very narrow lens, a lens which their entire thought process is clouded by the fact that they've already themselves owned or played through these games. Or the entire video gaming community had gone on and had these conversations online, and like those conversations have dried up. But it's like, these people need to realize that not everyone has had the same experience, like the same experiences that they had with gaming. It's different for everyone. We all take a different path and choose different games to play all the time. Like it's just how it happens. And sometimes we go back and play older games. These people, the ones with the narrow lens that I'm talking about, they often overlook the fact that remasters and re-releases are common with all forms of entertainment. Remakes too. Like, how often are books re-released with little more than a new cover and maybe a short letter from the writer? How often are films remastered to take advantage of newer home viewing formats? How many music albums have been remastered to sound better too? There's a lot of these remasters and whatnot that could be argued that maybe the end result is worse off than the original, but that's another conversation. Taking all of that into consideration, though, why would video games be any different? Why? If you're this dead set against remasters or even remakes, just keep in mind that, again, no one's forcing you to buy this new release or to upgrade your old one. Your old game will service you just fine. Just because you're not interested in remasters doesn't mean there isn't a place for them in the market. There's obviously room for them because they keep making a substantial amount of money. So trust me, if remasters prove to be a financial bust at some point, they'll go away. But for the time being, they are selling, and all we can do is decide for ourselves and not for everyone else. Now, I only played through The Last of Us Part 2 about 8 months ago. That entire playthrough is saved as highlights on my Twitch channel, FYI. So I'm not super stoked to be dipping into this anytime soon because, again, this is now coming out in January. But when I do want to play it again, and that time will come because I have replayed the original Last of Us a couple of times, I think flipping Sony $10 for the upgrade, considering the amount of work that's gone into the PS5 native version, I think that's not a big deal. That's a small amount of DLC these days for releases that sometimes arguably do less for other games, right? But again, that decision is mine and mine alone. Feel free to make your own decision.